Welcome, fellas.
Yo.
I didn't even give you a 3, 2, 1 there.
Welcome.
I
I
just
know there was no ongoing. It just went right
Dead ass.
into
I'm like
it.
half positive that you went in before we started recording.
So it's just gonna be like a half,
Fellas.
I wasn't prepared because I tried to throw you off with the media board,
haha.
and
I
it got
threw
stuck
you
because you
off.
just went so fast. Yeah,
I
so
threw you off. All right, I'm too
my
quick for
sabotage
that.
backfired.
But you know what wasn't too quick? Our movie this week.
Nice. That was a good little intro there, Kevin.
All right, so boys, a new release this week, 2022 Netflix comedy from Judd Apatow, The Bubble, starring everybody at this point: Karen Gillan, Iris Apatow, Fred Armisen, Maria Bakalova, David Duchovny, Keegan-Michael Key, Leslie Mann, Kate McKinnon, Pedro Pascal, and a bunch of others. Some cameos here and there.
John
Lithgow, Daisy Ridley, Mr. Tumnus. You know, everybody's in this.
Mr. Tumnus. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
It follows a group of actors who are trying to film a sequel to their movie Cliff Beast 6, all while in their own bubble during the 2020 COVID pandemic. That's pretty much the movie, and it's
true.
2 hours long. So first reactions, James, what do you think, dude?
This movie was a fucking train wreck. It was so bad. Like, the beginning, like, set it up in, like, a way that I was kind of excited for it. Like, the first 20 minutes weren't bad. After that, it was, like, trash fire after trash fire after trash fire of uninteresting subplots with, like, almost little to no nodding or interest or forwarding of the overall plot. So, you know, maybe it's a little harsh, but this one was a waste of 2 hours. Joey, what did you think?
My very first reaction was like, the irony that Kevin picked a purely COVID movie is just great,
So
because
funny.
Kevin hates when COVID is in
Yeah.
movies. But yeah, no, this was bad. It was very long, very hard to sit through because it was just not funny, not entertaining. The satire was just horrible. I really wanted to turn it off. It had very little going for it, and was very upset with this watch. So, also maybe a little harsh, but it is what it is at this point.
It'd be like
I'm
that. They took
glad-
2 hours of my life.
Yeah. I'm glad we're all on the same page, so I don't have to quit this podcast.
Nice.
This movie was atrocious. Like, this was the worst movie I've watched in like the past 20 years, I think. Like, I don't think I've watched a better or a worse movie than this in a long time.
So,
Like, maybe The Room.
Yeah.
But that's
But that's like intentionally bad, kind of. You know what I mean? Like, that's a meme how bad it is. This isn't even a meme.
yeah, like that was
This
designed
isn't
to be
even-
bad. This one, I think, pretends to be bad. Like, pretends to be designed to be bad. Does that make sense?
this one is, yeah, it's just a terrible satire. Like, it's just blatantly, like, it's not funny.
Yes,
Like, I don't think I laughed once.
I did.
Mm-mm.
And it is very disappointing because it's Judd Apatow, and like he makes really great movies and great comedies, and this was not even remotely good.
Yeah.
Like, what happened?
So,
Was it Judd Apatow or was it someone else, and they just put his name
gonna
on
be-
it?
I feel like the movie was supposed to reflect probably what was actually happening behind the scenes, in the sense of like the studio struggling with the creatives, and the creatives trying to stop it, and the studio was just like, no, keep going, and they were like, okay, let's mimic this to like try to be like deflect the badness off of the creatives and blame it on like Netflix and the studio, because they had so much success with like Don't Look Up, and I feel like they tried to like replicate that in a sense. But the topic of the lockdown and the bubbles and COVID like is hopefully so far beyond us, and like so painful to think about that we shouldn't be making movies about it. Like that's just the farthest thing. If you have to reference COVID in a movie, like mask, social distance, whatever, fine. Like make it a little subplot, like Kimmy. But this was just like pure COVID and lockdown and all that, and it's just like, hopefully we will never have to deal with that again. And it was just like so bad of satire because we don't need to like learn lessons from it anymore.
And to piggyback off what you said, Joey, I don't think a lot of these jokes I felt like weren't for me. They were for like people that like made
In the
movies
industry.
during this time.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
it was super super niche and like not like I'm a very like haha very funny. I like eating popcorn and watching the funny pictures go. You know what I mean? Like that's very much my movie watching experience. But like this, it was like I struggled to laugh, and I don't struggle to laugh to watch anything. Like I laughed at Girl at the Train more than I laughed at this movie.
James, you laugh at literally everything.
Yes.
So to say that you sat through a comedy and
Stone
did
By Judd
not laugh
Apatow,
once.
nonetheless.
Judd Apatow.
Stoneface.
Like
It was like, this is uninteresting. It was just like, it was like the plot was everywhere. It was literally like they kept like zooming to different characters. Nothing real. Like there's a ton of like subplots they just like let go and didn't care about. You know what I mean? Like the soccer player and like the husband and like there's a lot of things that just didn't culminate in anything. And you're like,
they had an ensemble cast of all kind of like side characters. Nobody in this movie is like the leading star in any movie.
Maybe Karen Gillan.
Yeah, she could be, but that's also a stretch because I feel like she doesn't have the same like name recognition. Like Leslie Mann, I thought was the biggest name in this as like star power, but I don't know. It just like
it was
all these like side characters. She hasn't done
all over the
anything in a
place.
while. Like there was just so many people that they were trying to like build stories around, and they're like for 2 hours they built up little plots and they went nowhere, and then it just like was like, okay, next person.
And it wasn't funny. Like they built things up that
Nothing.
could have been really funny. Like let's not we can't get into spoilers here yet. And there's like obviously a lot we can rip into this movie and be like that, like this or that or this or that, and it's just like I don't know. Yeah, I think we're gonna have a roast fest.
We are about to shit on this movie. Listeners, if you want to go watch it, go watch it. But this is a shit movie.
Yeah,
This is a
don't
terrible
waste
movie.
2 fucking hours.
It really is like a dread of a 2 hours plus watch.
That's
that, like,
the problem too.
I don't even like really can say like
How
watch
dare
it just so
they?
you know what we're talking about. Like really don't watch this movie.
2 fucking hours.
Yeah.
We've watched way better movies in like an hour and 15 minutes, hour 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Like why hour and a half?
Kimmy was way better than
I
this
think
movie.
hour and a half
by
was the
far, it
shortest.
was an hour and a half.
Yeah.
You know?
This movie sucked.
Yeah. All right.
All right,
Kev-
let's see. We'll start with Joe. Joe, you press and pray.
No, I'm keep
play?
scrolling.
Yeah, okay. There you
Scroll.
go. Keep
Scroll. Scroll.
I'm
Hard
scrolling
scroll.
too. Fuck
If I
this
could
movie.
invent a time machine and go back in time and not watch this movie, I would.
Yeah, I'm with you. If I had a time machine and I could go do one thing, I could stop COVID or not watch this movie, I would not watch this movie.
a bigger plague on the human race.
Arguably though, if you stopped COVID, this movie would also not be made.
Right,
Kevin,
and I would
so-
go
Birds,
to
one
the
stone.
extreme of still allowing
Just
COVID
making
to happen
sure.
just because this movie was so bad.
Just to make sure this movie really was never made.
All right, cool. Well, listeners, if you're here, if you're watching us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button down below. Really helps us out, really trying to grow our following. And it doesn't cost you any money. You just click it and it helps us. So that'd be great. Check out our Patreon if you do really enjoy our show and you want to contribute, help us make better content and more content. You can pay as little as $1 a month, $12 for the whole year. That's a sandwich for lunch one day. And then go check out the socials on Instagram, Twitter, mostly
TikTok.
Instagram.
TikTok.
It's mostly Instagram, but we're on.
I have
Um,
TikTok now.
James downloaded TikTok
Okay,
under
boomer.
the guise of I need it for the podcast, but we
I have
know
not
that
once
he
used
just-
it for the podcast, but it's fantastic.
So go check us out, and we will see you after the break. Welcome back, Fellas,
Yo.
Hello.
are you ready to obliterate this movie?
Please.
I
Send
honestly,
it
it
in.
was so bad. I think I blocked most of it out of my mind, and I watched it less than an hour ago. Like,
Yes.
it just, I
You know
kept
what's
wanting to
actually-
like pause to go like get myself like refill my water. I'm like, it's not even worth pausing. Just like go
Yeah.
get my water. I don't care if I missed anything. Like there's nothing to this movie. It's just straight up bad.
I wouldn't even know where to begin. Like, honestly, to your point, Joe, everything just kind of blends together. I'm like, the beginning was shit, the middle was shit, the end was shit. And I don't know, like, it didn't even start off on a good foot.
No. I mean, I don't think it started bad. I think like the plot and like them getting to the hotel and like the first introductions gave a lot to be like, oh, this could be funny. Like it gave me like Knives Out vibes. Because they're all very like eclectic group of people and like they're gonna like mesh in really good ways. I was so excited for Keegan Michael Key's cult. I wanted to see so much more of that, and I was robbed. I wanted that to be what the movie
Right.
was about.
I hate when movies like this kind of start off with like cheesy, like, oh yeah, like we're doing the sixth. I don't even know what the Cliff
Fucking
Beasts.
Cliff
Like,
Beasts.
Come up with like a real movie title. Make it sound like it's an actually like don't do Sharknado. Like it felt like I was just like, okay, nobody actually cares about Sharknado. Sharknado is a meme. This is like just another meme movie that you're like trying to like talk about. Like, don't if you're going to do this, give us some realism, some like something to root for. Make it a really good movie that they're now making a sequel for. Don't do
Yeah.
the 23rd highest ranking action film during 2020. Like,
Well, that's like the joke they're trying to play into is like, oh, like Hollywood just has all these like big action blockbusters, blah blah
Yeah.
blah.
They
they're washed
reboot
up,
things
blah,
just
blah,
because
blah.
people will watch them.
But it's
like,
like
Fast
again,
and Furious 10.
but even that joke is just like, I don't know, that
It's
joke
overdone.
just feels it's been done before. Like, oh, Hollywood does this. But also like it's a little dated because like the big blockbuster, like summer blockbusters, Marvel, DC, the Jurassic Park movies that come out every once in a while.
they're actually
People
good.
like enjoy them and like they make a shitload of money.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
like just because you're butthurt that you haven't made a good movie, like I mean, people liked King of Staten Island, but like I don't know, it's just like it just felt dated. The whole concept felt dated. It's 2022. They're making jokes that probably would have been funny in 2020 in like a YouTube sketch, but not in like 2020. Like them washing the groceries. It's like we did that for like a few months and realized it wasn't a thing. So that was funny, but like years ago. Like it's
Yeah.
been years. You know,
Yeah.
it just felt super dated.
Yeah, like it
Yeah,
definitely it's like if you struck when the iron was hot, it would have been moderately funny. But because it's a dated joke and it wasn't funny to start with, it's just annoying to hear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my thought was like, okay, maybe they did start this a while ago, and they just like took a while to finish or whatnot. But they made like the Batman joke that there's been so many different Batman changes and recasts, and they reference Robert Pattinson being the latest Batman, which
Yeah.
obviously I know the movie just came out. It's probably been announced for a little while, but it's still
Mhm.
like you're making very
Current.
relevant references that
I thought the same thing, Joe. And then, like in my head, but then yeah, like when it's a like comedy, you shouldn't have to rationalize in your head why that's funny or why that joke works. And that's what you had to do for like a joke like that, where it's like,
Mhm.
wait, would we have known? But it's 2022, but they're making it like it's peak COVID. So you're right. Like it just like it's comedy. You shouldn't have to think that hard about. Like some of it, yeah, might need some thinking, but every single joke you have to like rationalize why this joke would be funny, and you
Yeah.
shouldn't
Yeah.
have to rationalize every single joke that you hear.
Can we talk about the comparison of this movie? Because you also hated Don't Look Up, whereas James and I enjoyed
This was
that.
way worse than Don't Look Up.
Okay,
Yeah.
glad we.
This
Can,
is
I
like
thought we were
worse.
gonna fight on that, and I thought you were gonna say like, no, this is the same tier, up same
No,
par,
no.
like
Don't Look Up was
Look-
like entertaining. You know what I mean? Like
and relevant.
No.
Like, global warming
Don't
is a
Look
very
Up wasn't
relevant, like,
remotely
political
entertaining.
issue.
I think this Don't Look Up actually like followed some kind like way better structure than this movie. I can't see any. I understood why people might like Don't Look Up. I just thought it was a terrible fucking movie, and I didn't think it was funny or good satire. But I understood why people might have liked it. Right? I don't agree with them. I think they're wrong, and I think they should be shot. But
Whoa.
But I wouldn't go that far.
Aggressive.
This movie is not anywhere near decent satire. It wasn't funny at all. The movie just felt thrown together, just like the movie in this movie that they're making fun of. So I don't know if that was the joke too. I don't know if Judd Apatow was intentionally trying to make a terrible movie, because if he did a great job. But it almost felt like they were trying to make this movie about a bad movie, but they're also trying to make this movie terrible. So I have no idea. Like, I'm so confused.
No, I do genuinely, I hope, and I do kind of believe that they were trying to make a bad movie. Because at the end, I mean, again, they may have just been like, oh shit, we made a bad movie, we need to, like, save this,
Like double
save our
down
reputation somehow. And they make a bunch of jokes about how, like, well, they can't blame us because we tried. Well, we tried to distract them. We tried to help. Like, I think they tried to, like, play into they knew that they made a bad movie, but I think they did it retroactively. I think it was like, they played it out to an audience, and the audience was like, no, this is bad. And they're like, shit, well, we're not going to reshoot this whole thing at this point. So let's just add a couple more scenes of us talking about how bad this is.
Either that, or they were trying to go for this big meta joke, and it just did not land. Everyone was like, it's not funny that you just made this movie bad. Like,
It's also 2 hours long. It's more than
just
2
wasted
hours.
2 hours for us to sit through a terrible movie.
Like,
It's a 2-hour TikTok ad. Like,
Deadass.
Honestly, yeah.
The
Straight
TikTok
up.
was so cringy. The TikTok was so cringy. Like,
So cringy.
it was so, like, it was one of those things that, like, I honestly think it would be funnier if, like, because there's, like, we're in the spoiler section, right? So there's this dichotomy of, like, one of the people in the movie is only in the movie because they're crazy famous on TikTok, right? And they're these huge ensemble choreographed dance numbers that are supposed to be funny, but they're not. And then there's a second one where, like, all the adults are on drugs. And it would have been really funny if when they went to go do a TikTok dance, they're all, like, throwing up or, like, passed out on the ground. Like, that would have been funny. But they were like, no, let's just do another choreographed dance.
It's just a dance number. Yeah.
It was stupid. Yeah.
And you know what else kind of annoyed me? And correct me if I'm wrong, but, like, this movie is, like, kind of taking jabs at Hollywood and, like, the structure that movies take with like the producers in the studio, and like how they have no creative decision making, whatever, just problems with Hollywood, right? But another huge problem with Hollywood, from what I hear and what I've read, is like nepotism and like people getting acting gigs because of who they know. And just
this is the definition
Judd
of
Apatow is like the biggest. The Apatow family is the biggest example of like nepotism getting people roles. Like, I don't think the daughter was that great in this movie, and the other daughter also gets like cast and shit now because she's an Apatow. So it's like at the same time they're also proponents of things that are wrong with Hollywood.
Yeah, they are benefiting, clearly directly benefiting from it.
Yes, exactly. And then let me know what you guys think. Maybe it was like supposed to be this way, but sometimes I felt like it wasn't. But like the montages of like the quarantine was like, it felt like annoying to me.
Yes.
Is like, oh, we all had to deal, like, haha, this is funny, but didn't it suck when we all had to quarantine? But it's like they're showing like celebrities quarantining in like the nicest ass places where like some people were stuck. Some really unfortunate people did not have access to like things and like amenities.
They didn't have room service and
right. And it's just like, no, your group can't make jokes about this because you don't get it. Like, you don't understand what less fortunate people, like, not saying
and
me,
I think that
because I was fortunate enough during like quarantine wasn't the worst thing, but I know there are people out there where like quarantine really fucked them up, and it's like I feel like they have no right to make jokes like that.
They also drove it home so hard. You know what I mean? I feel like they came back. They did like 2 or 3 montages, and it was like kind of funny the first time, like borderline. You know what I mean? And then it was like, okay, not funny. You know?
They literally need to do the one, and not two more after that, but I'm glad you brought that up because there was the character, I think it was Carla, who was like the angsty friend of
Yes.
Yeah.
Crystal.
John
The
Cena's
mole.
daughter.
Yeah. And I'm like, what was her, like, they really never established her role other than, like, I thought she was supposed to be an actress, and she's not an actress. She's just, like, there.
She's
So
John
they
Cena's
did a
daughter.
shit job.
Yeah.
They did a shit job describing it. No, I don't even think she was actually John Cena's daughter.
No, she was
no,
supposed
she
to
was
be.
a
She's not.
That
plant.
was, yeah.
She was supposed to be, but she was a plant
yes.
from the studio to like
Yeah.
report back on like what they're all saying, which is so.
No, I
stupid.
got that part, but that's what I'm saying. Like, why did nobody question, like, what is this girl doing here?
Yeah.
Like,
Her
you're not an
dad's not even
actress.
here.
Your dad's not here. Yeah, what are you doing
Right.
here? Like,
Right.
Right.
Stupidest thing. John Cena did all his lines from a Zoom call on this fucking movie.
yeah,
Oh,
he was like,
for
I don't want to
sure,
waste
for
my
sure.
time. Like,
Yeah.
But she
Um,
was the only character who kind of brought up a slight relevant moment where she was like, you can't post a TikTok that you're suffering on a movie set because
Right.
that's not real suffering. And she was like,
Right.
we're literally dying. Like, people are getting shot at, and like, it is suffering. But it was just,
Yes.
it was just so stupid. And
Yeah,
That was
ridiculous.
also super dumb. The weird like secret, you know what I mean, like guards or whatever that were like on the estate. Really dumb subplot that never amounted to anything.
So
I
stupid.
finally thought, I was like, oh, he's on the phone with her and she doesn't know who they are. I thought that they were going to be like, okay, this is the plot now. This is like a criminal organization that is trying to hold hostage all of these celebrities, and like that was going to be the plot. No, the studio didn't hire them, and they were just meant to like
They're
literally
just
keep
super
them on.
bad
Like,
at their jobs. Yeah.
yeah. It was, I also thought, I was like, oh, maybe this is a movie about like how we tried to get out of lockdown. Like, we wanted to go do other things, and it was hard because we would like, they didn't, the satire was just so off basis. There was nothing relevant, nothing relatable, nothing that like was like, oh yeah, that makes sense, or that feels like a time in my life. Like, it was just very bad.
It was just
Very,
bad.
very bad.
Like it was.
That is the extent of my vocabulary today.
Yeah.
To James's point is like they made this movie and it's like this satire that no one can relate to except for people in Hollywood. Like, there is nothing, like, I know that the studio, you know, controls every aspect and sometimes takes creative and they plant the director that will do whatever they say, but like I don't relate to that. I have never experienced anything remotely like that.
Yes.
So it's like, why would you not, if you wanted to make this movie about living in a bubble and like making your bubble, why wouldn't you make it about normal people? Judd Apatow is great about making funny movies about normal ass people. Like, This Is 40, like that's a great comedy, one of his best movies. It's just about normal ass people. So like, why couldn't you do something similar?
I
Like,
almost think that this was intended for Hollywood, and that it was kind of like these actors and creatives got together and were like, we need to send a message to our colleagues to be like, look, we need to make better movies. We need to make movies that aren't just like, maybe that it was so niche that they were trying to like send a message to their people and be like, we need to like have our creativity back. I generally don't
That
know.
would be
I
the
would
only-
be curious to see what other celebrities maybe said about this movie, but
yeah, but
it's the only thing I can
even
think
that
of to-
rationalization, I think, is like, it still doesn't rationalize the fact that like it doesn't make the movie any better, because there are plenty of movies made about show business and about like shit that happens in show business that
Like
the
La
general
La
public
Land.
really enjoys. Like La La Land, great example. It's a movie that talks about show business. Or what's the Quentin Tarantino one that came out?
La La Land.
No, the
That's not
Hollywood.
No,
Quentin
once
Tarantino.
something day in Hollywood.
Upon a
It's
Time in
something-
Hollywood.
Yeah,
that's
like shit
that
like that.
movie is
It's- you can-
phenomenal.
You can make movies about this thing that we don't really relate to, but still be enjoyable for us. And then those fucking fat cats in Hollywood can like sit and watch and be like, "Oh, I get that." But this one
Not
just
relatable.
sucked.
Not interesting.
Not
funny.
remotely relatable.
The only funny line was the Batman thing and the dude's like quest for weed. Those are like the only two funny things, and then he like hard pieced out of the movie. And I
But
was
they
like,
weren't
okay,
even funny.
they weren't.
The only
but
thing
like,
I did chuckle at like one thing that Fred Armisen said, but that's just because Fred Armisen is just a godsend to us.
Mhm.
Like, he is
The
one
only
of
thing I
funniest
chuckled
mans on the
at
face of the earth.
Wait, you tell me what part you're talking about. And
I
then-
forget exactly what he said. I think it was towards the end. Oh, you know what I chuckled at that Fred Armisen did was when he was like, he had the gun pointed at the helicopter, and and he was like, they're like, don't point a gun. He's like, it's just a
It's a
prop.
prop.
I just want them to think that it's a real gun, so they'll come down. And then it shows him from the helicopter point of view, and he's just mouthing shit and pointing at the gun. He's just like, and I was like, I just chuckled. That wasn't really that funny, but I just chuckled because of Fred Armisen's delivery of the joke. But
Mhm.
that might be the only thing I even like did one of these, like the
Yes. Yeah. The exhale
You know?
of amusement.
yeah.
Yes,
My- I think my first only exhale of amusement, I'll say not even a chuckle, was when she's FaceTiming her boyfriend. I forget the actor's name or character's name, Josh maybe.
Dog shit actor
And-
number 3.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And he's like, we break up, and he was like, in the beginning, obviously, his kids call her mom and mommy, and she's like, I'm not your mom, like, I'll be your stepmom soon, but don't call me mommy type thing. And then they come back and they're like, who's Carla? Like, that's her.
It's so
That-
funny.
That was
Yeah,
the one time
it
I was
wasn't
like,
even funny, but it was just like,
yeah,
I
it was
don't
cringe,
know.
but it was like the first time I was like, okay, it's
No, it was
everything's
like-
so
it was
bad. My
kinda
standard
funny.
is so low right now
it
that
was
like
kind of funny.
I can laugh at something. Yeah.
The one line that I kind of liked was the like when they're all doing drugs, and he's like, "You look just like, whatever who's the guy who plays Doctor Strange? It was in Power of the Dog.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Well, he's
Benedict
like, you look just
Cumberbatch,
like
yeah.
Benedict Cumberbatch, and he goes, "I'm Doctor Strange," and it's like all
Yeah.
the deep fake. The deep fake
yeah,
thing
but I
wasn't
just-
funny, but that
No,
line
it
was kind of
so
funny.
stupid. The
So
deep
stupid.
fakes.
It was all
So
stupid.
stupid.
The
know, it's so
continuation of the
unfortunate-
deep fakes was bad. Like it was bad.
During
Go
the
ahead.
drug scene, why not just kill off that character who like
It'd be
they
great.
literally poked him and prodded him with 17 different things and electrocuted like, and he just was dead. And they're like, oh, why don't we just try this last needle that has nothing to do with anything? Just oh yeah, now
And
he's alive.
stab
Again.
him
Like,
in
just
the
kill him
chest.
off.
No,
Just-
no, that was the joke too. That like is gonna go over people's heads. Is he used? I think they used Narcan twice, but it was a syringe. So he put the syringe up the nose,
his
and that's not gonna
nose.
do anything
Yeah.
because Narcan comes in a nasal spray or
Yeah.
a syringe. So then they used it correctly. But also, if you don't know that Narcan comes in a nasal spray and
I
a
was gonna say I
syringe-
didn't know it came in a nasal spray. I knew that they were doing it
Yeah.
wrong, but I was like,
Yeah.
okay, whatever. Like they're doing it wrong.
It just like
Yeah.
was bad. Like this was so bad. I don't want to
Which
talk.
is unfortunate
it was-
because I like a lot of the actors in this
I love
movie,
the
Mhm.
actor.
except
I
Kate
love-
McKinnon. She's
You
my
don't like
enemy.
Kate McKinnon?
What?
No,
I
I
like
think
Amy
she's the least funny person on the face of the earth. Next, to
She's
Amy
funny on
Schumer.
Saturday Night
No,
Live.
Amy Schumer
No,
takes
she's
that
not.
hands
Yes, she
down.
is.
Kate
Yeah,
McKinnon's
she-
not
No,
even
Amy
close.
Schumer's
Schumer
the
does take
worst.
that, but
She's
next,
the worst.
but then the next is Kate McKinnon. I don't think she's remotely funny.
I think Kate McKinnon's funny. I think
I don't
that
think
like
Kate
I mean
McKinnon
like
has said one thing that made me laugh.
I love Pedro Pascal. I love Keegan Michael Key. You know what I mean? Like I love.
Karen Gillan's great.
Yeah, I love.
I was excited to see Maria Baklava again come up on this. I thought, oh, like this will be exciting. Like she's from Borat too,
Mhm.
and I don't know. I thought her character also just kind of like fell flat.
Yes.
Didn't she get nominated for an Oscar
Yeah, I think she got like best.
for
Not
I
an
think
Os-
supporting actress
Best
or
Pi-
something? She got nominated.
She
for
might have
supporting
best supporting actress
something.
last year. Wasn't this year, but
Well, it was for
Oh.
Borat, right?
I was
Yeah,
literally just
Borat
about to Google
too.
this, but I was like, I'm not allowed to Google anything about this movie because we need to play our game at some point.
Yeah,
I think I've
gotcha.
already spoiled it. But it's okay.
You son of
It's
a.
bad.
Yeah, you fucking bitch.
I don't. I didn't.
I'll
I,
play.
yeah.
I'll
I mean, not
play,
the tomato
Kevin.
meter. I didn't see the
You
tomato.
didn't
meter.
look at the tomato meter.
Yeah.
Okay, then we're good.
Wow,
Yeah,
it is
whatever, regardless,
storming
Yeah,
out.
she
This
got
movie-
she got a Critics' Choice Award
and
for
nominated
Best
for one
Supporting
Oscar.
Actress in Borat. She was nominated for Best Supporting Actress at the
Yeah.
Academy Awards.
Yeah.
This
Um,
this movie lives in a place, right? This is honestly my biggest problem with the movie. It lives in a place where there were talented people in it, a ton of money went into it. It was high quality, like shot, like well done, not well done shooting, but like high budget shooting.
No,
for, like,
it
a
was
high
well
budget
done in the
movie.
sense that like the cameras were nice,
polish
the
was
quality
good.
was nice, the
Yeah.
angles were nice. Like it was done very traditionally, like not
The
traditionally,
plot
but
wasn't funny, and the characters weren't funny. Like the writing
Yeah,
was
the
just
writing-
like horrendous.
well, and that was the other thing they kept referencing in the sub movie of the movie was how like he kept wanting to change the lines, and they wouldn't let him. And I'm like, I feel like they knew that they were making a bad movie, but they were just like, let's just go with it. Like, I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know what they like. I feel like they were sending a message to like a very, very small group of people. And maybe it was the studio who was like, no, you have to finish this movie, because there are a bunch of characters who do leave that you actually
Yes.
don't ever see again. And that happens in their sub movie too. So I'm like, maybe this was just like they were supposed to create a different movie, and then
became a
they
train
wanted to
wreck.
stop, and the studio was
Yeah.
like, no, you have to go. So okay, like we're just gonna make a shit movie then. If you want us to do it, we'll do it, but it's gonna be shit. So maybe
Yeah,
they
that's
also-
interesting. I
maybe
would like
there
to
is a
read more
whole-
about that. That maybe that is literally
plot?
the joke. In which case, like, good for them for just like being like, okay, fuck you, we're
Trucking
just gonna...
along.
Yeah.
But
and making
I
a
don't
shit
think
movie.
I don't think that's the case.
I don't give them that much credit, but they also, it blows my mind that this cast and crew did this bad of a movie.
It can't be that though, because it's Netflix that produced the movie, and like they're not known for having that kind of control creatively over the movies, like a Sony or like Marvel or
Maybe
Disney,
it
whatever
wasn't-
it is. Netflix just lets them do whatever the fuck they want. So
Yeah.
maybe it was produced by someone else at first,
But-
and I don't know, but
I was gonna say maybe they screwed over the studio so
Yeah.
bad, and the studio's like, well, we're not gonna bring this to theaters, and then they were like, okay, well, let's bring it to
Netflix picked it up.
Netflix. Netflix was like,
Yeah.
fuck you, studios. Maybe
Netflix loves
I'm
content.
just trying
Yeah.
to salvage some.
Some
hope for
rationalization for
this.
the movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the point when we started talking about this. This is the point I was trying to make. The reason this movie is so bad is because one, there's too many talented people and too much like high quality actual like cinematography done for it to be considered a bad movie that is funny, right? Like a bad movie that's funny because it is so bad, right? But
right.
it's you know what I mean? Like it's towing the line of like the quality of a movie. Girl in the Train. We had a great time talking about it because it was funny because it was so laughably bad. Like this isn't even laughably bad. You know what I
No.
mean? Like it's like it's good enough to not be just like
Yeah.
absolutely garbage.
Yeah.
But like so we're looking at it like a real movie, but it's horrible. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's why
Yeah.
it is,
It could have been laughably bad if it was 45 minutes shorter,
yeah.
but they
it's
decided
too
to
much
make it over
content.
2 hours.
No, this movie
and
was
it's just,
2 hours or an hour and 50 minutes too long.
Yes,
This was
agreed.
a 20-minute YouTube
but-
sketch. This was
yeah.
a 20-minute YouTube sketch. That's all.
Yeah.
That's
fair.
all it could have been. And it would have,
SNL sketch
it probably
even,
would have
yeah.
been funny. We would have been like, haha, look at them wiping down their groceries. Haha.
Yeah.
That's funny.
We
Yeah.
did that. Yeah.
Look at those nasal
Ha, ha,
swabs, haha. But like,
Yeah,
no.
ha ha ha. Yeah,
We're
he's
still
putting
getting
the
those
nasal
nasal
swab in his
swabs,
beard.
so it's
Ha, ha, ha,
like-
ha, ha. Like,
Yeah.
wait, it's a YouTube sketch. That's all. Can
Yeah.
we talk about? Do you guys know like the whole theory that like Judd Apatow is a cuck, and this
No.
movie keeps furthering that theory? Okay, so the idea or behind this theory is that like Judd Apatow always casts his wife Leslie Mann in movies, right? But
Mhm.
always like films her getting fucked on camera by like her love interest or husband in the movie. So everyone's like, is Judd Apatow just a
God.
cuck? And I was like, I'm waiting for someone to fuck Leslie Mann in this movie. And
it
then,
happens.
Then it happened. Yeah, it happened.
Yeah.
David Duchovny,
Duchovny.
X-Files guy,
Yeah.
nailed her on set.
Yep.
Not a
So
very
funny
graphic
theory. I
one
didn't know
though,
if you guys
but
heard that.
I did
But-
not
I
know
heard
that.
that theory. It wasn't a very graphic sex scene, but I haven't heard that theory, so it does.
Yes.
It is interesting.
Judd
Mhm.
Apatow is absolutely a cuck, and he just made one of the worst movies of all
You
time.
heard it here
Easily
first.
the worst movie that we've done on this podcast, I think.
Yeah. I think
We'll have to do
from
another
pure-
tier list, but
From pure entertainment value, I think this is way the fuck down there. Like, what was the one that you watched, Joey? The garbage movie with the fucking the serial killer?
Girl on the train.
No, that was bad. But the other one,
Hypnotic.
not Hypnotic, the other one.
I
Joey, I'm
chose
seeing a
Kev-
trend
Oh, no,
here.
Joe-
Kev
chose
picked
it.
Intrusion, if that's what
No,
you're
I
thinking.
Oh, he
picked
of.
did. Oh,
Intrusion. That
I
was
thought
Yeah.
Joey
pretty
picked
bad.
Intrusion. Okay.
No,
I was-
No.
I picked Intrusion, but even
Yeah.
that was laughably
It was
like,
laughably bad.
bad.
This isn't
Yeah.
laughably
But
bad.
this was
is
just
bad.
not. This was just
Yeah.
like, what am I watching?
I'm not laughing now. I wasn't laughing then.
I do want to do a bonus episode and like look at all the movies that we've picked and see who has the most like cumulative click plays versus keep scrollings and
Dude,
just
It's
decide who has,
definitely
like, the
me.
best
I
movies.
definitely have the most click plays, but that's just because I pick movies that like already have been like the whole like all of the community are like. Because I don't take any risks. I'm like I pick all the the easy ones.
You do
That's
click play
fair.
like all the fucking time.
No,
I feel
no,
like
but like
I
his
scroll
movie
the
specific.
most.
I'm saying my
You
movie-
scroll the
Oh,
most, like,
Who's
but
picked,
we could
who's picked
scroll
the
on his
best
movies. Yeah.
Yes. Like
I
no, people don't scroll
see.
my movies because like at worst they're like mildly entertaining. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I pick
I
like the
would sit
big
and do
budget
that.
whatever movies. You know? Yeah, we should.
We're
do that. We should do
spoiling
that.
this for our viewers, so I'm just gonna stop talking about it. But
Fine.
yeah, maybe we will do something.
It's all
like that.
speculation.
Mhm.
Maybe
Yeah,
I am
maybe.
trash. There's a good
If you
chance
listen
that I
to
am.
this episode all the way through, you got a little teaser as to what's to come.
It's true.
All right, so I think we've ripped this movie enough. I think
Yes.
we've said what we need to say. Let's play our game
Yes.
and then move on and never think about this movie ever again. Sound like a
Exactly.
plan?
So,
Until the bonus episode.
Yeah.
Till the
Until the
bonus episode.
episode.
Till we come back to it and we're like, man, we watched that movie. That movie
Yep.
sucked.
I
All
actually.
right, so
Yeah, send it.
I've got the Rotten Tomatoes.
Tom.
James, you can go first. Let's do the audience score.
Audience score 39.
Okay, Joe.
31.
It's pretty low, Joey.
Right in the middle between you guys, 35.
Damn. Wow. Tie.
35.
Damn, that's
I
tight.
think I think I saw on the what's the other one we do? Metascore.
Metacritic.
I think that was a 39 and that's what I spoiled. That's
Yeah,
when Happy
I
Birthday
think
Tomato
I
Meter.
think it was. A
So I guessed the
30
fucking
something.
Metascore.
You guessed the Metascore.
Let's go.
Yeah, let me see. The Metascore was a 34.
Oh, never mind.
So you
So I didn't spoil
Never
it.
mind.
Okay.
All right. Kevin.
Tomato meter, James.
All right. I got rationale for this one because this is a movie strictly made and to pander to the society that makes movies. And I feel like Metacritic or the critics would understand that more than the average audience person. I'm going to say 54. Far too high, but
54, Joe.
I think the critics don't understand Hollywood either, and I think that's why they're usually so harsh on movies. I think this audience is going to be lower, but I'm going to say like 37, like not much lower. Or like it's going to I think
Well, the audience score was a 35.
that's what I'm saying. I think audience is going to be okay, maybe like 40 then for critics or tomato meter.
22.
22?
Ooh.
Wow.
22,
Ooh.
dude. That might be the lowest
It's
reviewed
bad.
movie we've
Wow.
watched. Tomato meter wise.
That's
so
so
bad.
funny because they make a joke in this movie that her last movie got a 4% Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
This
she's
is
like,
on
doesn't
its
get
way.
much lower, and this is
This is
there.
on
This
its
is
fucking
it.
Dead ass. My guess was more than double the actual score.
Listen to this
Wow.
blurb from Brian Costello at Common Sense Media on his review. The first sentence: 2 hours and 6 minutes is a very long time to sit through a comedy almost entirely devoid of comedy.
Accurate,
Follow.
Brian.
Go follow.
Follow Brian. He will lead us.
That
All right.
that's crazy.
22.
I'm still shocked. Yeah.
This
I mean,
movie
they're not
sucked.
wrong, but it's
Daniel M. Kimmel from North Shore Movies. There are some great comedies about making movies, ranging from the lighthearted Singing in the Rain to the satiric State and Maine to the sardonic Sunset Boulevard. But leave it to Apatow to add what they lacked: vomit and urine.
The vomit scene wasn't even funny.
No, not even remotely funny.
Yeah.
no.
So, all right, well, that's
Wow.
what we got, boys.
Yeah.
Might be the worst movie we watched yet. Double down. I don't think we even have to do double down.
I don't think we gotta ask that question. Scroll.
We're all doubling down.
Let's-
Keep scrolling.
Yep. The first skip of a double down.
God
Yeah.
dang, dude.
Yeah,
this movie
skip that.
sucked.
Scroll. What
so
I do
bad.
ask you to do, though, don't scroll on us. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button before
Hell
you guys
yeah.
go. Thanks for coming by. Check
yeah.
out our Patreon,
Yeah.
Instagram, socials, YouTube, all of that. and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Now you can leave a review. So check
5
us out there.
stars. Do it.
Pew pew. Okay.
Thanks, boys. Goodbye.
See you, fellas.
Goodbye.